The top 5 games of the World Cup. The wildest football ever played on the biggest stage. Let's count them down. At number 5, we have the famous Germany vs. Brazil 7-1 World Cup semifinal in 2014. The day was July 8th, 2014. Brazil were playing a home World Cup semifinal. Germany scored 5 goals in the opening 29 minutes. With the trophy just 2 wins away on home soil, Brazil completely collapsed. Germany ended up winning 7-1, the biggest margin of victory in a World Cup semifinal ever. A nation went completely silent. At number 4, we have the famous World Cup quarterfinal between Argentina and England in 1986. Only 4 years after the Falklands War, Argentina met England in the quarterfinals. Because of the geopolitical climate, this game meant more than just football to both countries. And only a few minutes into the second half, Diego Maradona punched the ball with his hand past the English goalkeeper, creating his famous Hand of God goal. And just 4 minutes after that, he picked up the ball inside his own half and tore through the English defense before scoring what would become known as the goal of the century. Those were 2 goals, 4 minutes apart. Controversy and genius side by side, perhaps inspired by complicated geopolitics. At number 3, we have the Maracanazo, the last match of the final round of the 1950 World Cup, Brazil vs. Uruguay. First things first, it's important to understand that the 1950 World Cup did not have a traditional final. Instead, the champion was decided by a final round-robin group of 4 teams, and Brazil against Uruguay was the final match. And going into that final game, Brazil only needed to draw to become world champions. Uruguay needed to win. And with the way things were going, Brazil went into that game as clear-cut favorites. First of all, they destroyed both Sweden and Spain in their other final round games. And secondly, they were going to play in front of a packed home crowd in Rio de Janeiro. And Brazil even took the lead in the game just after halftime. But Uruguay responded very quickly. They scored their equalizer before eventually scoring their winner with only 11 minutes to go in the game. A packed Brazilian home crowd saw this upset firsthand in the stadium. The official attendance was 173,850 people watching the game, still a World Cup record. However, estimates suggest that more than 200,000 people might have been inside the Rio de Janeiro stadium that day. Against all the odds, Uruguay became world champions that day. And that defeat became known as the Maracanazo, the Maracana blow. And at number 2, we have the 2022 World Cup final between Argentina and France, a game most people in our generation remember very well. Argentina led 2-0 at halftime, and for the first 80-odd minutes, they were dominating most of the game. Many people began to think that this game was heading towards a one-sided, boring finish. But that was far from what actually happened, because with less than 10 minutes remaining, Mbappe scored twice in less than 2 minutes to force extra time. And from the moment Mbappe equalized, it was pure chaos for the rest of the game. End to end, both sides traded chance after chance, neither team slowing down for even a second. Eventually, in extra time, Messi scored again. And then shortly after, Mbappe completed his hat-trick from the penalty spot, only the second hat-trick ever scored in a World Cup final. And in the 123rd minute, with virtually the last kick of the game, France had the World Cup at their feet. That was until Emi Martinez produced a miraculous save. Many people called this save the most important save of all time. Extra time ended with the score being 3-3, and Argentina ended up winning 4-2 on penalties. And Lionel Messi finally lifted the World Cup. And for almost any other match, that would have been enough for number 1. But there's one game that was even more legendary. At number 1, you have the 1970 World Cup semifinal between Italy and West Germany. To this day, this game is often regarded as the best football match of all time. Italy led 1-0 deep into the semifinal, until West Germany found their equalizer deep into stoppage time. And then came 30 minutes of absolute chaos. West Germany quickly made it 2-1, but Italy responded twice to lead 3-2. Muller then equalized again for West Germany. However, less than a minute later, Rivera scored the winner for Italy. That was 5 goals in extra time. Still a World Cup record to this day. 7 goals total. There were 4 lead changes and equalizers. A place in the World Cup final on the line. Everything to play for. And more than half a century later, it's still known as the game of the century. And for me, the greatest World Cup game ever played. So, there you have it. My top 5 games in World Cup history. Do you guys agree with this list, or do you guys have your own list? Comment your views down below.